Hi everyone, welcome back to Burnout Help, Stress and Burnout First Aid. Today I want to talk to you about spirituality. I did this in a previous video, but I want to touch on it again today. Specifically, I want to share with you a little bit about Buddhism. Why Buddhism? Because I'm very interested in Buddhism. I practice it as well to the best that I can. And it has made a big difference in my ability to deal with stress. And it makes sense once you know a little bit more about Buddhism. Interestingly, I also am a big fan of a therapy method called ACT, Acceptance and Commitment Therapy, and I use it with some of my clients. And ACT uses a lot of information, a lot of tools that are straight out of Buddhism and other spiritual practices. So this is not going to be a long speech about Buddhism. There's so much to tell. It's really about something that directly connects to stress, specifically the Four Noble Truths. These are truths that came from the Buddha and that are used still today quite a lot in Buddhism, in Theravada Buddhism, and to a lesser extent in Mahayana Buddhism. These Four Noble Truths are as follows. Number one, life is suffering. So it starts with that. Yes, there is a lot of pain in the world. And suffering can be from something extremely traumatic to the suffering that we have every day from not getting the stuff that we want, for example. Number two, the reason for suffering is craving, is grasping. And what they mean by this is, for example, I have a thought that transports me into the future and it brings me anxiety. I have a thought that transports me back into the past and it brings me a form of mild depression or whatever it may be. I follow these thoughts into directions that are not particularly helpful. And this is what we do as human beings. We have the ability to think, which is wonderful, but it is also, I don't know if I want to say weakness, but our ability to think and to be bombarded all day long by these thoughts is also a problem. Because most of these thoughts are not useful. On the contrary, most of these thoughts are taking us in the direction of suffering. So, the second noble truth is the reason for this suffering is how we grasp, how we crave always more. We are not satisfied. It's never enough. Number three, there's a way out of suffering, and it is by no longer grasping, no longer following these thoughts, no longer wanting always. And number four, there's a path. And here Buddhism tells us about a path to follow in order to achieve this. But without following necessarily this, for example, this eightfold path, as they call it, if you're practicing mindfulness, if you're practicing, for example, the ability to observe your thinking process and to start not always identifying with this thought or not always following it. And this takes training. But this is the idea behind mindfulness. But it is also the idea behind something else that I teach, which is, for example, cognitive flexibility. How do I become the observer of my thinking process and to therefore notice when a thought is leading me in a useful direction or when a thought is leading me in the direction of a craving or something that is not necessary, something that is an illusion, something that leads me in the direction of depression or anxiety. So practicing this ability, whether it's cognitive flexibility or whether it's mindfulness, which are, by the way, very similar, then it allows you to lower the suffering, to lower your stress, And it really, really works. It is, I believe, one of the key elements to lower your stress. Again, this ability to recognize that your thinking patterns are taking you in the wrong direction, and to stop also yourself from always finding a reason to expect more, to want more. Because we live in a society where it's never enough. It's never enough. And that is a big reason for a lot of our stress. Okay, I'll stop here for today. I hope this was useful. Please reach out if you have any questions. Write a comment or reach out to me directly. And yeah, see you soon until the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.